Operation Epic Fury.
What if I told you President Trump just found Iran's kill switch? A tiny island you've probably never heard of controls 95% of Iran's entire oil exports, and the White House just put the world on notice. They're not afraid to flip the switch. When a reporter tried to corner the administration on targeting Iranian infrastructure, the response was devastating. The United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and Trump is not afraid to use them. That's not saber-rattling, my friends. That's a promise, and Iran is sweating. I'm going to tell you why this matters to every single American who's watching right now. Because Iran funds Hezbollah. Iran funds Hamas. Iran has been responsible for the death of American soldiers for decades. And where does all that blood money come from? It really comes from one place. It's called Kharg Island. This tiny 21 square kilometer coral outcrop handles virtually all of Iran's oil exports. Every dollar that funds their nuclear program, every payment to terrorist proxies, every IRGC salary, it all flows through this one piece of infrastructure. President Trump, he understands leverage like no other leader in modern history. While the previous administration sent pallets of cash to Tehran, Trump is making it crystal clear. Make a deal or watch your entire economy evaporate overnight. Look, this is not about just Iran or gas prices or global markets or your retirement account, because they're all connected to what happens next. And the stakes could not be higher, but here's the thing. Trump isn't bluffing. He's offering Iran a choice, negotiate or just lose everything. And based on what we're hearing from the White House, negotiations are very real and they're gaining strength. You see, with tensions with Iran escalating and geopolitical instability at an all-time high, smart Americans are taking steps to protect their families from potential disruptions. That's why I want to tell you about our friends at My Patriot Supply. They're America's #1 preparedness company with over 3 million satisfied customers who understand that being prepared is not paranoia, it's wisdom. And right now, when you go to preparewithgary.com, their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply comes with an additional week of food for free. We're talking about the best long-term storable food you can find, at least 2,000 calories a day, real meals made with real ingredients, no artificial flavors or colors, and a shelf life that is measured in decades. With everything that's happening in the Middle East right now, why not get your emergency food from the most trusted folks in the business and get a free week while you're at it? Go to preparewithgary.com to get your free week of emergency food today, because when world powers are playing high-stakes games, you want to make sure your family is ready for whatever comes next. Now, here is what the mainstream media doesn't want you to understand. When the reporter tried to frame Trump's warning as potential war crimes, the White House shut it down immediately. They pointed out something crucial. Of course, this administration will act within the confines of the law, but with respect to achieving full objectives, President Trump is moving forward unabated. The stakes we've already seen on Kharg Island, the strikes there, they were surgical, precision, munitions, zero damage to oil facilities. You see, that wasn't luck, that was a message. Trump is showing Iran exactly what he can do while giving them every opportunity to avoid what he will do. Now, the Pentagon had a press briefing this morning, and the question was asked by a reporter, can the U.S. bomb Iran's power plants and oil wells without seriously harming civilians? Let's listen to the response.
With those systems and make sure they're in the right places and not easily targetable. Jillian.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. The U.S. and Iran appear right now publicly to disagree about whether there are these negotiations ongoing. What impact does that have on military strategy? Does it have any bearing at all? And General, the president wrote yesterday that the U.S. might destroy Iran's electricity generating plants and oil wells. Those are his words before ending this operation. Is there a way to do either of those things without seriously jeopardizing or seriously harming civilians?
So on the talks, I can tell you, having been with Steve and Jared and the vice president and Marco and many others yesterday, they are very real. They are ongoing. They're active. And I think gaining strength. And we appreciate that. As I said in my remarks, we would much prefer to get a deal. If Iran was willing to relinquish material they have and ambitions they have, open this. Great. That's the goal. We don't want to have to do more militarily than we have to. But I didn't mean it flippantly when I said, in the meantime, we'll negotiate with bombs. Our job is to ensure that we compel Iran to realize that this new regime, this regime in charge, is in a better place if they make that deal. And so we'll continue. We're working hand in hand, but the primary effort is a deal. We want that deal to be accomplished if at all possible. If not, then we're prepared to continue.
Secretary, what happened at
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Thanks for the question. We're always thinking about those considerations and develop options to be able to mitigate those risks pursuant to the normal practices that we do in the military. So,
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
So just a snippet from that press briefing. Secretary of War Hegseth on NATO, the talks are real, they're ongoing, they're active and gaining strength.
So on the talks, I can tell you, having been with Steve and Jared and the Vice President and Marco and many others yesterday, they are very real. They are ongoing. They're active and I think gaining strength.
So you heard General Kane didn't shy from the potential of military action. Now let's hear from a former intelligence officer on the precise U.S. strikes on Kharg Island and what they signal to Iran and the world. I-24 News English. If the U.S. were to conduct military operations against that island, we would be denying not only not only to Iran, but denying its output to the rest of the world.
Well, of that, the U.S. military strike of U.S. munitions in that regard. There was no destruction or damage to the oil facilities, which again shows the U.S. was interested in sending a message. Now, if the U.S. were to conduct military operations against that island, we would be denying that not only to Iran, but in theory, we would be, if we close that island, denying its output to the rest of the world. So you've got some consideration there as well. What does that mean for the global economy? So this is obviously a careful path for the U.S. to consider.
As we dive deeper, America's moves against Kharg Island could be a turning point. Bill Mitchell reveals why this 21 square kilometer piece of land is Iran's economic heartbeat. Listen, Iran's golden goose.
This is Iran's Kharg Island, where 95% of the country's entire oil exports are loaded before heading to the global market. The tiny 21 square kilometer island holds massive outsized strategic importance, and because of this, Axios, Bloomberg, and other outlets are now reporting that their sources inside the White House are saying that they're seriously discussing and considering a special forces military operation to capture Iran's Kharg Island.
We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here.
Kharg Island is one of the least known but most strategically important pieces of territory in the entire Middle East. The entire Islamic Republic of Iran's economy, the IRGC military spending, the nuclear and missile programs, and the government salaries are all funded by this single piece of infrastructure. Talk about a strategic vulnerability. To put this location into perspective, the island is only about half the size of Disney World in Florida. It's the strategic linchpin that controls the whole country's economy. It's so strategically important that it was in the 1989 Sega Genesis game F-15 Strike Eagle 2, and its map is in Battlefield 3. American gamers have been fantasizing about attacking Kharg Island for literally 37 years now. But they claim this technically wouldn't be boots on the ground. It would be a loophole. It would be more like elite ninja slippers or something. So today we're going to examine why Iran's Kharg Island matters so much, how heavily it's defended, and what a special forces mission inside of Iran would look. To Kharg Island is only about 130 miles away. That's well within Black Hawk helicopter range. Kuwait is a launching pad for this helicopter assault mission. Apache helicopters with 30mm cannons, Black Hawks, and Chinooks carrying commandos embark from here, and it takes them just under an hour to reach Kharg Island. Planners favor this low-altitude helicopter assault with support from U.S. Ranger Infantry Regiment. This allows soldiers to land precisely near key objectives. Special forces conduct high-altitude, low-opening halo jumps from 30,000 feet in the sky in order to have standoff from the short-range air defense systems. They land near the island and sabotage air defense on the ground to pave the way. The Delta Force squadron responsible for capturing Maduro was reportedly moved into nearby Kuwait in February 2026. Their first priority in securing and seizing the island is securing the oil terminal to prevent its destruction. Each step of that plan is a possible point of failure and challenge if something were to go wrong. Mohammed Soliman, a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute, said this about Kharg Island, quote, "Take it out, and this means cutting off the military budget in addition to pulling the plug on the basic services that keep Iranian society functioning," end quote. Kharg Island's security is reportedly handled by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, so defeating any kind of American air assault mission here would be their responsibility. Access is extremely restricted here, and satellite imagery suggests the site is heavily fortified. Reports indicate that old assessments claim about 250 IRGC soldiers are here, plus another 250 air defense personnel stationed, and up to another 500 additional military personnel stationed behind steel perimeter fences and guard towers. There's only a population of about 8,000 people that live on the island. Most of them work there, according to this 2016 Iranian census report that I dug up. So the Financial Times analysis outlines the stakes clearly, I think. They say military action to destroy or take control of the island's infrastructure would be hugely damaging to Iran, but risks deepening the war, triggering a further shock to energy markets, and weakening any future Iranian government. End quote. It's like my old platoon leader used to always say, no risks and don't take any risks. Take a look at this CIA declassified assessment of Kharg Island's defense from the 1980s. It reveals a lot. Case officers stated surveillance spotted 6 Hawk anti-air batteries on the island, 8 twin 35mm cannons, and another 8 light aircraft positions. Who knows what they have there today, but Jane's reported Iran has deployed their top air defense here. Separated from reinforcements, the island is difficult to defend and it's already isolated. Precision strikes would be needed to take out any of those air defense systems so as not to blow up the entire island. With Iran's air defense degraded, its navy largely destroyed, and its air force knocked out and its ballistic missile launchers pummeled, American war planners believe that they have an opening at this.
The opening is clear. After learning just how strategically vital Kharg Island is to Iran, the focus shifts to Trump's bold threats. Reporters confront the administration on the controversial possibility of targeting civilian infrastructure.
The president posted this morning about his threat that on leaving Iran, he said we might blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, Kharg Island, and possibly all desalinization plants. Under international law, striking civilian infrastructure like that is generally prohibited. Why is the president threatening what would amount to potentially a war crime with the U.S. military? And how do you square that with the administration repeatedly saying that the U.S. does not target civilians?
Look, the president has made it quite clear to the Iranian regime at this moment in time, as evidenced by the statement that you just read, that their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and the president is not afraid to use them.
Beyond their wildest imagination. Here is more. The White House assuring the U.S. capabilities are unmatched.
That's not what I said, Garrett. And you're saying the word potential for a reason, because I'm sure some experts are telling you that in your ear to try to ask me that question. Of course, this administration and the United States Armed Forces will always act within the confines of the law. But with respect to achieving the full objectives of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump is going to move forward unabated, and he expects the Iranian regime to make a deal with the administration.
To that end, which of those
make a deal, right? That's the name of the game. Now let me break down what's really happening here, because this is strategic genius. Trump has identified Iran's single point of failure, their golden goose, and he's letting the entire world know he can take it away anytime he wants. The Ayatollahs are facing an impossible choice. Their military presence on Kharg Island has already been neutralized with precision strikes that proved American capabilities. Every day they refuse to negotiate, they're gambling on their entire economy. And they're gambling on Trump's patience. And we all know that President Trump doesn't bluff. Former CIA officials openly discussing that shutting down Kharg Island wouldn't just hurt Iran, it would remove their oil from the global markets entirely. That's not a threat to civilian populations. That is maximum pressure on a terrorist regime. What is this? It's the art of the deal on the world stage. So President Trump is doing exactly what he promised, putting America first and bringing our enemies to the negotiating table through strength, not weakness. While the fake news tries to twist his words into war crime accusations, the truth is very simple. Iran has a choice. They can make a deal and rejoin the civilized world, or they can watch their entire economy crumble. The negotiations are real. They're active, and they are gaining strength because Trump has the leverage and the will to use it. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think that Iran will make a deal, or will Trump have to show them American military capabilities beyond their wildest imagination? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. And since you made it this far in the video, congratulations. Not everybody does watch it to the end, but you did because you care. So text raw feed to 844-840-4963. Yeah, because you got to the end, not everybody knows about this. This is a little secret for you. This is how we bypass the algorithm. This is how we get you direct notifications from me to your cell phone every night when YouTube fails to send you notifications. Now, share this video with every patriot who's tired of weak leadership. And if you haven't done so yet, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Show the world where you stand. Double check that you are subscribed and you have the bell rung so you never miss a single story. I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.